Welcome back. The recent high-level South African delegation visit to the United States has sparked debate about the effectiveness of diplomatic efforts to reset bilateral ties between the two nations. The visit aimed to strengthen economic, political and strategic cooperation, but did it achieve its objectives, and what are the potential implications for future collaborations? For more of this, we've asked Herakles Investment Partners CEO Aubrey Sibanyoni to share some insights with us. Aubrey, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. Discussions continue around what took place in Washington, D.C. this week, and that follows that meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump as well as President Cyril Ramaphosa from South Africa. From your observations, do you think that the two nations were able to reset the relations between the two nations?
Yeah, I definitely think so. This is what really it took for the South African government to come to the U.S. and basically state their case. It's going to take some time, of course, to see the changes, but all in all, relatively speaking, I think the administration of South Africa did very well. I also like the idea that the U.S. administration also wanted to come to the table and sort of amend the issues of the past, and I think that's exactly what was achieved. Now, other folks argue that maybe it was not enough, it was not strong enough, certain points were not pressed upon. But, from a political perspective, certain things are said behind the closed doors and other things are said publicly. All I can tell you is that on my side, being a South African who's been based in the U.S. for a very long time, we were happy with what we saw.
And from an investment or a business perspective, also we heard the president alluding to the fact that there's at least 600 U.S. companies in South Africa that do business here. And what would you say, how important was it for a reset in these relations, particularly when you look at these 600 companies who are invested in South Africa, and when you look at investment and the business side of things?
Yeah, so it is important to acknowledge the bipartisanship between the U.S. and South Africa. United States, it's basically our largest trading partner, with South Africa. I'm really happy, to see what transpired on Wednesday. For us on the investment side, we are squarely looking at South Africa as a nation that we can invest in, that we can help grow economically. And so for us, alongside the other 600 U.S. companies, we were very delighted. We want to continue that path, those relationships. Remember, we have the G20 coming up in November. So this, in my opinion, will continue to strengthen us. In fact, again, as I said before, I believe it's what was needed up to this point. There's a lot of competition around the world, for South Africa in terms of economy, the Europeans, the Asians. So for us in America, we think this is a time to strengthen those relationships and stay there and invest. This is why Herakles Investment Partners, we are just not talking about it. We really want to put some dollars, to work.
And Aubrey, coming to the issue around Starlink, I mean, a number of people have said that, we all knew that, the issue here was also the fact that Elon Musk had an issue with some of the BEE laws that exist in the country. Are you, not surprised really by the sudden turn of events, particularly now where the Minister of Communications says that some laws will be reviewed? Of course, some saying that this would be allowing and looking at laws to bring on board Starlink.
I hate to say this, but rules are made to be broken in some instances. So I am not sure whether this is one of those instances. But certainly, when you bring such big entities and companies from different countries to other countries, usually there might be some interruptions in the local market. for the greater good of that nation. Now, will Starlink be that? I do not know. But clearly, it appears that there has been sort of like a policy shift. Those who are a lot closer to the conversation than I am would most likely know better. But I, all I can hope for is that, for me, we need to do better as a nation. Whether we get a lot of help from others, we need to do better. And I think, if nothing else, that came out of the conference on Wednesday is that we can try and dispel things that that are against us, but we need to do better. And the countries, the U.S. companies that want to be there, they really want to invest in South Africa, not only through technology, product, trade, investment, capital. We want to see South Africa succeed. As I said before, I was born and raised in South Africa. It is important for me to see the country succeed, and I want to be part of the solution rather than be part of the problem.
All right, and maybe before I let you go, what are your expectations now between these two nations when you look at what took place this week? Going forward, in terms of business and investment, what are your expectations from the two sides?
So if you remember back in 2023, South Africa hosted the AGOA Forum Conference. And Herakles was part of that conference. We continue to beat the drum of bilateral partnerships on both sides, trade and economy. We are also very excited for the G20. Herakles would be in South Africa supporting. On Wednesday, that question was put on the table that the invitation for the U.S. to be in South Africa and have a handover, if you will, of the G20 to the U.S. We expect SA to be there, U.S. to be there, but we want to continue building, the two nations. So if we had the opportunity to host AGOA, which we did, and now we are hosting G20, in my opinion, that continues to demonstrate that from the private sector perspective and the public sector perspective, we want to continue to build.
Aubrey, thank you so much for your time. That's Aubrey Sibanyoni, Herakles Investment Partners CEO there, giving us his insights in terms of what transpired this week, but also giving us his thoughts in terms of whether we did see the resetting of relations between the two nations.